Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Leon Scott has joined me.
Thank you for having me, mate. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming up. It's making me feel incredibly pale. And I'm not used to... The co-host of the show, Johnny and Yusuf, one's a powerlifter and one's a gymnast, so I'm not used to being the not the leanest person on the couch either, but I think we're competing with each other today, which is totally fine. How are you? Are you good?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Very good, thank you.
Brilliant. You recently moved football teams, right? You're at a new team.
I did, mate, yeah. I'm at Whitby Town at the minute, enjoying it. There's a few lads who I know that play there. I've played there before, so it's a returning club, very friendly, family-run club. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, mate, and it's good to be back enjoying the football.
Fantastic. So, for the viewers and the listeners that don't know you, can you give us a little bit of background about what it is that you do? You got an interesting, eclectic mix of elements of your life, and I want to try and give a nice background.
A bit about my background. Well, in terms of social media wise, how that sort of all kicked off was, I think it must have been about 7-8 years ago now. I was quite lucky and fortunate. It was actually, funny enough, as you've mentioned, I was playing for Whitby Town, how it all started. I was playing for Whitby Town, just normal football, going about a normal thing, and there was a young guy with an idea of a clothing brand back then, 7-8 years ago. It wasn't really a big thing back then. Well, not many people done it. It was now you see every other person's making a clothing brand up, but back then it was one like only your Nikes, your Adidas's, and so on and so on. So yeah, he had an idea. He asked me would I model his brand. Back then I'd never done no modelling. I probably wasn't as confident in front of a camera. So I said, yeah, let's give it a go. He was from Scarborough, met up at Scarborough, and we just done a few shoots. And funny enough, the brand now is probably one of the biggest brands within the industry that I've worked in, which that being Six Silk.
Well, I mean, they were like the first mover, right?
They were back then they were the first people to do it.
Yeah.
I believe they were the first people to do it. It was a big thing to get it on a reality TV star back then. If you could get it on someone from Geordie Shore, from Towie, etc., it was a big thing. Now it's just the norm. So he managed to do that back then, and that's
all they wore. I remember, anyone who remembers like the proper heyday, Scotty T and Gaz and those guys. That was
So that was it, and that was his big break. Because back then they wanted to wear it. It was okay to wear it. Now it's I'll only wear it if it's endorsements, etc. So it's a lot harder now. So that's how it all started for me. I modelled for him. And then more brands approached me. Jim King being inspired, a lot of other big brands. I think that big break came from Foot Asylum. They approached me and asked me to do a campaign out in Ibiza. And for me, it was something where I've always went on holiday, so to go there and actually be paid
and be able to see,
it was a bit of an eye opener, because I do remember we were doing a shoot in Ocean Beach, and it was holiday season, so we've been sectioned off in one corner trying to do a photo shoot, and everyone else is in Ocean Beach partying, dancing, and raving.
Brits abroad,
exactly, giving it this and all that while I'm trying to keep a straight face. So that was a bit of an experience, but from then it's just been a complete snowball effect for me. But on top of that, right at the start, I've always worked full time, so it was quite hard to interlink it all together, because my full time job for 6 years was working with people with autism and Down syndrome.
Okay.
So although that was intense, that was very rewarding as well. So when I did get a chance to do the photo shoots, for me, it was more of a, not so much of a day off, but more of a like, wow, I'm getting paid to do it. Didn't feel like work.
Yeah.
So obviously when I went back to my normal day work, I was full of energy and very grateful of me being able to do that when these guys potentially maybe never experienced what I was experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
So I did find a lot about myself in between all that. And it was just, like I say, a complete snowball effect.
You got a big contrast there, right? So you're going to go and work with people who've got learning difficulties and real behavioural problems, and then you're going out to some of the best party destinations on the planet.
Exactly.
So it is that must feel like a real contrast.
It was like I say, that I think that right at the early stages is where I did learn a lot about myself, because there was some jobs I had been on, and every job I went on, I am still to this day like blown away by me. I'm getting paid for doing this, and I think that's when it all started for me in terms of like appreciating and all that type of stuff. Because when I went back to my day job, it was just it was just two completely different fields of area of work. So when I was on the modelling type thing, there was some people that I did do jobs with, and like they didn't really fully appreciate what they were doing or what they were given or the opportunities of where they are and what was going on. It was still a bit of sometimes a snotty attitude. I'm the model, I'm this, and I was just, sometimes that really confused me with people. And to this day, 7, 8, 9 years down the line, I still try not to give that type attitude, because some people, when they are in shoots, they believe, or they still think that the model is the main person of the day. It's not. It's like it's a collection of everything.
You're there at the behest of the show.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? You're there to give whatever clothes it is. It's the guy that designed the clothes and put 150 different samples.
It's not about
through
the model. Exactly. It's the brand that you're working with. Yeah. And again, I believe that's what got me a lot of work back. Not always my looks, I don't think. It was the impression I given on the day and what I give back and my appreciation. And I don't only just think that. A lot of people said that. We loved working with you. It was easy going. We had a laugh. It didn't feel like work with us. So we'd like you to come back and do another shoot.
I mean, it's nice. It's nice to hear that someone who goes into an industry that is quite shallow by its very nature, like you are there for your looks.
Yeah.
That if you do go there for that people are still taking notice of the way that you conduct yourself and things like that.
Oh, massively. Don't get me wrong. I think looks is a big thing. You see something and you're attracted to it straight away by the eye. But if there's nothing past that, then it doesn't keep you there.
I agree. So what was the actual role that you were doing with people with learning difficulties and people with autism?
It was basically managing them to live their everyday life.
What's the job role title?
Support worker. I was support worker. So it's basically their struggle to live an everyday life as we do. Things, get up, brush teeth, get the bus, go to college, go to work, go to doctors, go to hospital, see family, etc., etc. So we'd help them and support them within that day. So I'd go to work, I'd get delegated with one individual, and I'd support him throughout his day, make sure that he lived the life as normal as he could, within his means as everyone else. Because they do struggle, like they wanted to go and visit parents. What bus do I get? Where do I go? We'd support them with that, and we'd make sure they're, like I say, living life to the fullest as much as they can.
Are you employed by the NHS for that?
It was a company by UVU. I believe they're based in Harrogate.
Right.
But they had about 7 houses within the northeast.
So people lived on site.
Yes. So it was like a tenants of, say, it was a big house with 5 tenants in, and we had a staff team of, say, 10 to 15 people. And obviously but there was different houses around the area, but the house I was based and worked they were all young and very outgoing, because that's what I liked. And not that I did go to the other houses, but they were more so the older age who liked to sit and watch telly and play board games. And I think to get my full attention and to be able for me to deliver the best I could, I'd like to be more hands-on and pass on my fitness type of thing. Like going to football, I brought some of them to my football games, took them to the gym. You know what I mean? Try to push them. Like, a lot of them are young lads and wanted to live like young lads, but maybe didn't have the confidence, maybe didn't have the support, and that's what we were there for.
That's awesome. So you've touched on it there, that you also play football. So we've gone through one part of your life, which is the modelling and Instagram, gone to another, which is the support worker, and you're also semi-professional?
Yeah, semi-professional. Back then I was at Darlington, so that was quite intense.
Darlington's a very high-level football team.
It was, yeah. We were... I was there for 6 years and we won 4 promotions in that year. I was captain for 3 years, so that was a very successful time at Darlington. We've won a lot of promotions. The club got... They went down 5 leagues. There's a big story behind it. I don't know if you're not aware of it. Back then, I think it was bankrupt, so they were in a big stadium. They dropped down 5 leagues.
They'd have been at Feetham's, right?
Yeah, that's right. So they dropped down. it's always been around like a professional club, as I haven't got a bad word to say about the club. You know, the big fan base for a non-league team is still getting like 1,500 through the year, which some League Two clubs don't even get that. So yeah, it was a very good time there. We won, like I say, 4 promotions, and so it was a lot. I say hard. It was hard, but it wasn't hard because everything I was doing didn't feel like it was hard. If you get me, like it wasn't like I do like these guys that go to work and you know a brickie or whatever you want to call it, like. I feel they graft. I feel like that is hard work.
Agreed.
And, you know, and so for everything I was doing, I was obviously modelling, flying around the world, going to work in terms of support work, helping the young lads. And then I was going to football. None of that felt like I was really grafting, apart from the only time was when I was going in the gym.
Yeah.
And that was the only time where I was coming away. I was thinking, God, I feel knackered here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just trying to keep all the 3 together and keep them all tight, because if one fell, I felt like it linked into the other and so on and so on. So I needed to keep in shape because of the modelling, and I wasn't allowed to get too big because of the football, you know, and it wasn't allowed to get too tight because then I'd underperform at my job. So
it's a delicate balancing act.
Yeah, it was hard, and people say, how do you fit it all in? But it's that old cliche, there's 24 hours in a day, and you know, there's some days where I've travelled to London and arrived at 11 o'clock at night. I've got to be up at 7, and there's a 24-hour gym or something in the hotel. I'll go down, shot a quick 45 minutes, half an hour, get to bed. So I would always make sure I'd done something to keep within a feel-good factor, because if I didn't, I felt it affected my attitude and the way I felt. So it was like...
What's your natural personality? What's your natural kind of mindset like? You know, without you... if you've just got a normal day and you're going about your business, what's your mindset like? And then what's it like if you don't train? And then what's it like if you get it really good? Do you have swings and mood swings?
I wouldn't say mood swings in terms of, like, I'd feel, the more I tend to do, the more energy I've got. The less I do, the less energy I've got. So I like to stay busy in terms of going to the gym, being productive. If I find myself sat around doing nothing, I always feel guilty on myself, as if it's time wasted. I find it hard to shut off, which my girlfriend always says, just relax. You're allowed to watch telly. You're allowed to do nothing. And I'm like, well, no, it's time wasted. I can be reading. I can be listening to podcasts. I can be working on something. I can be at the gym. I always feel like I've got to be doing something, and if I don't, I have learned to accept, which my mindfulness has allowed me to do that. I have learned to accept that it is okay to do nothing. Whereas in the past, I did struggle with it, and there's still times when I do struggle with it, because, like I say, I like being very active in learning and progressing. Like, what have I done today that's made me feel better, or what have I done today to improve? Or these are the type of questions that I ask myself before I go to sleep each night. And if I ain't got an answer for any, 9 times out of 10 I have a bad sleep, because I can't wait to get up the next day to
get after it again.
Yeah, to change these answers that I've given myself.
It's interesting that there's a lot of parallels that I can draw between your experience and mine. You know, some of the listeners at home may be surprised to hear that someone who is a semi-professional footballer and an Instagram model, and, you know, flying around the world modeling for brands that are worn by party boys and party girls, is also one of your main concerns. Is what sort of value am I adding to my life and the lives of others? Yeah. It sounds quite contrary, right? Yeah. It's a different sort of mindset.
Yeah, you can see why people think that and look at that, but, you know, which is the reason I did release my 2 books. It was to give some people back of what I've done myself and learnt myself, test, trial and error. You know, I mean, I always get, which goes back to my job of supported living, I always get a kick out of helping someone maybe progress, or, you know, just chatting to someone in terms of what can I help with. If I can't, maybe we can just have a chat and listen. You don't have to take it in, you know, but I'm always open to help, and I want to help, because I get like a little buzz off that person has maybe learnt something off me, or maybe I've passed something on I've learnt off someone else, because I always feel like, although I like to give advice, I'm always wanting to learn as well. I'm never going to be a master. I will always, that the old saying, I'm never going to be a master, I'll always be a learner. You know, I'm always wanting to learn. So yeah, you can see it in obviously that type of lifestyle. But
if you take the headlines, semi-professional footballer, Instagram wanker, all the rest of this stuff, flying around the world, got a good-looking girlfriend, and going on holidays and blah blah blah. But it's the same for me. Like people say, ex-reality TV star, club promoter, does the Instagram thing, like cunt. Like that's, do you know what I mean? Like,
no, you can see it, and that's just painted on us by society. But them things like. It sounds crazy because I still to this day don't believe I'm not a model.
Mm-hmm.
I
you just model.
Yeah, I, exactly. But I genuinely believe that because I've never, in my eyes, models are the guys that, do big fashion shows, they're signed to agencies, they're working with these big billboards, the aftershave, the watches. To me, them guys are the models. We've just, me personally, and potentially like yourself and potentially the other guys who do that out there model, we've just gained a little bit of a following through social media, and now we're used to model because of our following. Mm-hmm. Because these brands know that we've got an all right following that's seen by a lot of younger kids, whereas the real models with the agencies who I see, they're not really used by the clothing brands.
But the one of the main things as well with my experience, especially in commercial modelling, is that I'd love if someone knows the statistics, please comment below. But I think that probably 80 to 90% of what would be classed as modelling work will be e-com. Yeah. So it'll just be some guy and a photographer and maybe a stylist if you're lucky on an infinity board in a studio just shooting clothing shots. Mm-hmm. And you're like, because that's the highest volume. Anyone who's listening, you've gone on to JD Sports to have a look at the new top, the Nike top that's just gone up or whatever it might be. Like that photo needs to be constructed and it looks like it's maybe, a 2-second job. It's actually quite an arduous process to go through. And I think that that's where that I always make the joke. That's the only time that for me modelling ever feels like work. Mm-hmm. Like it doesn't really feel like work when you're on location. It doesn't feel like work when
it's always e-com, yeah.
Like that's
particular, them days were I'm not hard work again. I was still whenever I turn up, I'm always grateful. But them are the days where I did turn up, say I had to get the train 6 a.m. to get to Manchester to shoot for Foot Asylum. And I'd look up the reel and it'd have like about 40, 50 t-shirts on. When it's t-shirts as well, it just feels like it's not going down. And you take one off and you're looking again.
It's such any models that are listening will know the feeling when you're looking at a rail on the other side of a photographer and you're just like, we've been going. And then what you start to do is you look at how much time you've been in there for, work out how many garments you've shot, extrapolate that forward, and then you're like, right, so I'm doing one t-shirt around about every 4 minutes and 15 seconds. So if I really speed up, video guy Dean's pissing himself behind the camera because he knows exactly the pain that we're talking about.
Yeah, but it was one of them. As back then, I had really long hair, so I used to have it whipped back. So it was like I had to really slowly get my t-shirt.
Oh, you got to be delicate with the movement as well.
Otherwise, if I just whacked it on quick, then I'd have to go to the makeup and hairstylist who'd redo my hair. So it was like a long process.
It's like the fucking Crystal Maze.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, then I'd look at the reel as you were saying there, and although there was 50 t-shirts, I'd right, let's try and nail through. I'll be done by 1. And from experience, I'd do that, and then all of a sudden they'll bring another 50, and I'd be like, "Fuck."
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, from then on, I'd be like, "Right, I'm just gonna time it until it gets to 4, so they can't bring another 40 out."
We might as well knock off. Yeah. I mean, another thing as well. Was it at the Sharp project where you went for Foot Asylum, where JD Sports shoot the Sharp project in Manchester, or is it Media City?
No, it might have been the Sharp. It was out in industrial estate for Foot Asylum.
Huge big thing, and you're checking at the front. Yeah. It's all gated.
Yeah.
So. For anyone who doesn't know, JD Sports own pretty much all of they own Blacks, which make outdoor gear, or retail outdoor gear like Trespass and North Face and stuff like that. They've got Foot Asylum, they've got themselves, etc., etc. And you have never ever seen a facility like this. So you'll have infinity wall shooting studios, you'll have models facing models, so you'll have 2 photographers working away from each other. If you can imagine like an alleyway, and at the end of each alleyway is a model that's facing each other, and in the middle of the alleyway is 2 photographers facing away from each other, and then you've got another alleyway next to it, and it's like 4 of these alleyways, each with a stylist, each with a photographer. And then as the rail gets completed, the photographer will crop the photos to the particular aspect that's required to go up online. And then there's a mezzanine level, like a balcony that overlooks where the digital team is, and something that you've photographed 20 minutes ago will be up online ready to sell.
Yeah,
it is.
literally.
It's a fucking force
it
of nature. That
was
place.
it was like a circle, literally, yeah, and it just fire around and straight. As soon as you shot it, it'll be back on the website.
When you see something like that happen, that's when you realise just how sophisticated the e-commerce industry is now. Like they're not fucking about.
No, literally it arrives and it's online. So that was like it just works so quick. But like I say, I used to always do every Thursdays. They'd have a certain model for a certain look, but they had these shoots nearly every day. You know, like this model suits this look, so we've got in for that day. This model suits that, we've got in for that. They've
got a set of analytics on the back end as well, where they track the sales of garments based on the model.
Yeah,
and then they're like, oh, this particular guy's selling at a 5% better than this person, and like this is maybe for yourself as well as someone who's kind of got a bit of a hunger for learning shit. Like I had to distract myself from wanting to understand the operation that was going on to actually focus on my job, which was getting the fucking photos taken. Because I just wanted to be like, oh right, so where does this go? Oh my god, and it goes straight up there, and they can put it online straight away. So how many do you do a day? How many models is there? They're like, Chris, can you just stand on the fucking mark for me, please? So
mine was the other side of that. As you were really interested in that, I was always really interested in the photographer side.
Yeah.
So I would always walk over and say, oh, how'd you take that? How'd you learn that? Blah, blah. And I'd ask so many, just go
Leon,
back. We need to try to take the picture.
Side of the camera, please.
Which is where later in life I progressed and I've done photography courses now.
Okay.
So now I know I'm like ISO and all this type of things, but I'm not massively known on it all, but it was always something like, wow, how's he got that shadow there? How's he got that light there? And it's something I've always wanted to learn and progress in. So yeah, like you're saying, you were interested in that side.
My background was on the ops and yours on the photography.
Mine was on the photography side. Yeah.
So you've touched on the mindfulness before, and I think this is where me and you probably have quite a lot in common. Mm-hmm. Would you be able to explain the journey that you've had with regards to mindfulness and where you started and what sort of learnings you've been exposed to and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, it all started with I wasn't very well behaved at school in terms of I had a very short attention span. I couldn't really sit in class and listen too much. Wasn't very good at reading and writing. So it was like I used to always see people on holiday reading books, and I used to think, "Why the fuck they're reading the book?" You know, and I'd like now I get it.
Was that as a kid maybe?
As a kid, yeah, of course, that was a kid, and I just didn't get. I used to think I'd rather be bombing in the pool. I'd rather be at the bar. Like you're wasting your time, but they're not now. Like I get it. You know what I mean? So. It comes into where my first book was Motivation Manifesto by Brendan Butcher. And it was like, I read that and everything just started being so clear and making sense. And then I downloaded an app called Calm, which was free for 7 days for anyone listening. Maybe give it a go. And I done it's like 15 minutes of meditation. And the reason I enjoyed it is because I put it into practice. And it worked, actually. And it worked, you know. It was like, wow, this shit really works. Like, I'd do it, and what I was getting told, I'd be like, all right, okay, I'm going to try that. And then I'd try it, and I'd get a good feeling or a good reaction back. So it was just like, it just progressed. And then from the app, I started Googling courses. There's a course not far from me. The main Buddhist monk centre in Darlington, and there's a guy that comes around our area every Monday now. I meet up with him. I've got very friendly with him. I've learnt a lot off him. And just when I walked into the room, I just remember my first day when I went into the room. I just looked at him and just without him even speaking, I was just like, "You look so happy," like you know, like and he sits telling us stuff at the front and the way he's telling his stories, and he's just chuckling at himself, and he's saying, like, he's explaining, like, is a problem really a problem, like, going into detail, and I'm like, it's not, no, like, what you're saying is fucking powerful, and it's real, you're, like, I've never read this before, I've never experienced this before, and he used to always say himself, like, I ain't just saying this because I want to say it, I'm saying it because it really works, you know, this type of stuff actually works. So try it. So yeah, it was one of them where I did try it. I put things into practice, and it just progressed. And every time, like, I do more, I want to do more and more and more and more. So yeah, that's what all started. And I'm still on that journey now. I want to learn more. I want to go deeper. I want to maybe travel and do more meditation and learn more about it. I try to stick to 15 minutes a day. Some guys out there that do 2 hours a day. You know, maybe I'm not. I don't think I know I'm not at that stage yet because it's hard. But
it's very, very difficult. Yeah.
But you know, I did at the start. Don't get me wrong. At the start, we went to the class, and me and my best mate, when we first went there, when I told you about, and some parts we did look at each other and chuckle and think, what the fuck is this? But back then we look at it, you know, and maybe that's why people don't do it, because they think, whoa, close your eyes. They think it's all this type of stuff, but it's actually not. It's working on becoming a better person from within, you know, and a lot of people want to work on what looks good, but a lot of people are blinding on working on what feels good.
Fantastic
You know what I mean?
point. I think one of the things that's super interesting is that when you work in an industry like modeling, very transactional, very surface deep, and the whole Instagram thing, it is awash with people that have got undiagnosed mental health problems or charisma issues or insecurities that they're then projecting on social media. And something that I always thought would be hilarious would be if in some different iteration of the world, we were able to have an Instagram that instead of showing someone's outward condition was able to represent someone's inward condition. And if you were able to compare the person who's got a lot of followers and looks happy and is always, you know, in a fantastic place with on holiday, taking photos in the sunshine and smiling and laughing. And you think, okay, if we were actually able to flip that and show your internal state, what sort of photos would we see from that?
Yeah.
And I think you're totally right. The Calm apps like Headspace and Calm they were a great introduction. Guided meditation is fantastic for people who need to make an entry into meditation. To hear that you said that doing 2 hours a day is difficult, and people think, oh, you're just sitting alone with your thoughts. How hard can it be? Let me tell you, I went and did a meditation retreat in between Christmas and New Year. So there's a place at Belsay up here, Tibetan temple, that we went to go and do it at, and myself and Yusuf, who's done a 10 hours a day retreat previously.
10 hours a day.
Yeah, so he was already quite well conditioned towards this, but for me it was going to be new ground.
Yeah. And
the plan was to total 10 hours of cumulative practice throughout the day. And we got to 6 and I just had nothing left in the tank. And it's difficult for me to describe what it feels like to have nothing left in the tank with regards to meditation, because inherently it's quite a relaxed environment to be in. But when your day is spent silencing your mind, noticing thoughts as they arise into consciousness, labeling them and getting rid of them, and then starting again and focusing on your breath, it's the same as doing a marathon.
It's tiring.
It really is.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But a lot of people, you worked at that and you kept going on that, and that's obviously sort of the stage that I'm at. And like my girlfriend, she does it sometimes with me, but sometimes she struggles with these thoughts that come and whatever comes. So, but she only thinks of these thoughts when she tries to meditate. So she tries to keep herself busy other ways, so she doesn't think of these thoughts.
Yes.
So she's learning, she's getting better, but what I try to pass to her, that's normal, that's okay, you know. These thoughts will come, you know. It's learned to accept, and like you say, brushing them aside, they'll come again. Accept, brush them aside, and it's like anything, you know. You go to the gym, you train your bicep, you do it twice, you do it 3 times, it gets bigger, it gets stronger, gets wiser, and it's exactly the same as the mind. Like I say to her, you done 30 seconds today, right? Okay, we'll do 40 seconds tomorrow.
Progressive overload is king, man.
Like, and that's key, and it's every day. You just, you know, just that little more, and these thoughts become less, you know, and them thoughts that you used to think of in the first 10 seconds, you might not even think about for the first 4 minutes.
Totally right. I think, you know, what I've found, especially as my practice has deepened, and Brian, my meditation coach, will be listening now from America. What I've realized as my meditation practice has deepened recently is not necessarily that the thoughts don't arise, it's that your capacity to be able to deal with them is just so much more, so much stronger, and the ability to let go. Yeah, you know, something arises and you can just let go.
Yeah, I think that's the main point for me. Learning, you know, sometimes these thoughts, regardless, these thoughts will always come. They will, I believe, until I get deeper or further. Who knows? But the thoughts will always come, but the connections with the thoughts for me has got weaker.
You don't identify as much anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like they come, they're there, you go. They'll come, whereas before they'll come and I'll be like,
you're attached.
Getting really annoyed with it and couldn't fully understand why I was getting them thoughts or fully understand like why that was happening. But now I'm less like, so.
Well, there's only two ways, based on the Shinzen Young book that I'm reading at the moment, there's two things that happen. You either identify with them or you suppress them. Mm-hmm. So it's an attachment or it's a suppression.
Yeah.
And you're like, right, okay, I don't want to do either of those things. Because if you try and suppress thoughts, that's still not dealing with it. No. That's putting a cloth over the top of the tail of a bird. Yeah, exactly. It's not working. You're not actually dealing with it. And the same thing is when you begin to identify with them, you're like, right, okay, well now I've jumped into it. Like, I don't need to do that either. I just need to accept it for what it is and let it go. So something else that I really wanted to talk about was your training. Mm-hmm. I think that, a lot of people know you online from the fact that you do online courses and you are in good condition and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. How do you think that marrying the mindfulness and the training stuff and your sport as well has working on your mind helped you with regards to your performance in the gym and your performance at football?
Massively. In terms of football, I used to be I still sort of am because it's sort of my game. A really aggressive player. I'm a centre mid, the aggressive, the ball tackler, the break it up, pass it on, move it on. The not so talented one.
Modern day Vinnie Jones.
Exactly. But it's let me, as I've got older, the mindfulness is to control these. I've got a lot of sending offs back in my day, but now I'm a bit more clever about the way I go about things because, like I say, the mindfulness has helped me with that to deal with like. You will always get the odd player winding each other up, but I always feel like I can win that mental battle when we're winding each other up now. So the mindfulness has definitely helped me on the football pitch, and also like learning to control situations in the heat of the moment. Because everything that arises for me, not just in the football, but in life, in the gym, my first thought is practice. It's training. So if a difficult challenge comes ahead, perfect opportunity for my mind to get trained now. Instead of, oh shit, I can't deal with this. For me, it's like, oh, brilliant. This problem's come up. So this is a perfect opportunity for my mind to tackle this problem and overcome this problem. And without this problem, my mind wouldn't get stronger. So things like that on the pitch in my mind, like the mindfulness has definitely helped me. Within the gym, it's made things a lot more clear and a lot more acceptable for me. Like I said, back in the day where I got really big and it wasn't acceptable for modelling and then I have to trim down for football, So there was a bit of I was always battling with things. So now I feel like I found that Fight Club lean type look that everyone types like, I wouldn't say everyone, but majority of people do like that lean look, all each to their own. I know some have got to do competitions, etc., etc. So, but yeah, I think overall the mindfulness, I think, has massively helped me in everything I do, my work, my football, my gym, which is why I put it into practice. Like anyone watching, give it a go and put it into practice, and you will see it's not just me saying it because I want you to do it, or I'm saying
we're not on a commission scheme here for meditation, worldwide meditation.
I'm just saying it because it's worked. Like the shit's like it's happened. I won't put it this way. You won't continue to do something that's not working, that's not giving you good feelings.
You look at as a good example as well for yourself. You are a guy that wants to try and continue to refine different elements of his life, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at, I didn't read, now I read. And I didn't approach football in this way, and now I do. And I used to train in this particular fashion, but I found that this worked better for me. Mm-hmm. You're totally right. Like, do you think that if mindfulness wasn't working for you, that you just continue to smash your head against the wall for 15 minutes every single day? No, you wouldn't. You're doing it because you get this thing out of it. I think, what do you think is the UK's, or the normal UK young person's approach towards when you mention mindfulness? Because sometimes when I say it to people, I just get this look, and it's like I don't know. It's like I've spoken about being a fucking stamp collector.
Yeah, well, going back to my younger days, how I would have thought, if you told me when I was a bit younger, and probably the rebel that I was, and a little bit of that background, but if you told me it then, I'd be like, You know, my
Sit
first
alone with
picture.
my thoughts for 15 minutes.
My first thought is these guys in these dresses, and you know, and it's like, who the fuck wants to do that? And that's probably majority of what a lot of lads or younger lads would do, or they're made to be like, what, you sit there with a monk who meditates? Whoa, that's not cool, you know. But it's like, but you go to the gym and you're working on your outer look. How about try and work on your inner look and see the difference in how you feel? So it's just becoming, you know, more aware and showing people that it works, and letting people accept it, you know, and doing it. So yeah, it's one of them. I think it's a bit, not daunting, but maybe it's not a bit manly for a man to sit and do a meditation
so. And I think that's a good point. That, you know, when both northern lads, like we're both from Teesside, like it's not the sort of place that I heard meditation talked about an awful lot as I grew up.
No.
Like, and, you know, maybe if we were in LA and there was like a fucking juice bar on every corner and, you know, everyone's vegan and they're, you know, not wearing any shoes, everyone's walking around fucking
then
barefoot.
It becomes type cool.
It's more, I think that kind of more progressive side of things is there. And obviously America's got a lot of different influences on it. It's quite fast moving. There's something inherent as well, I think, in the British people that everything's just a bit shit.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like everyone's like, the weather's crap.
Yeah.
And
it's just that type of
and there's
thing,
traffic and there's this and there's that. And I think everyone tends to be a little bit more critical about it. But
that's what I mean. That is for me, that is the reason why you need to do it.
Yes. Well, you got to deal with the shit traffic and the shit weather, right?
Exactly. So obviously by constantly, like, you've got shit weather. You can't change the weather. The weather's shit. You've got shit traffic. You can't change that. But what you can change is your feeling and your attitude towards that. You know, and that's where people think, oh, fucking traffic, oh, fucking weather.
Yeah.
Are you gonna continue to do that and moan about that all your life? Or are you gonna try and deal with it in another way so you can sit in the traffic and accept the traffic? Well, so you can walk out in the rain and enjoy the rain. 100%. You know, and it's not always, don't get me wrong, it's not always gonna be like that. Yeah. We all love the sun. But it's working towards that and making them feel a little bit better. You know, when we go to work and we sat in traffic and we're beeping our horn, but maybe just sit there and chill out and just accept it.
Well, I think I wrote a article that right now will be out in Muscle and Fitness for this particular month, the month of February, and it was on mindful muscle, I called it, and it was a 2,500 word testimonial to mindfulness training and then a couple of prescriptive meditations that you can do yourself. And in that, one of the parting thoughts that I had was that your mind is all that you have and it's all that you've ever had. And your life shouldn't be spent at the mercy of the next action or thought that comes careening into your consciousness. Yeah. Like, if you spend your entire life at the mercy of things that are outside of your control, you're literally handing your life over to everything else. If you know that traffic will set you off and the weather will set you off and your missus having an argument will set you off and this, that and the other, you're literally handing control of your life over to something or someone else that isn't
out
you.
Of your control.
It is.
There was a data on that. There was some type of diagram a few years ago that I seen in terms of, like you're saying, the traffic. You know, all these little things that annoy you. It's like a bucket type thing. And you know, if you get up on the morning and you stand on something, and like fuck,
like an
so the book goes up, yeah, exactly, and it goes up. Then you go and look for your toothbrush, you can't find it, you get even more annoyed, the bucket goes higher, you know, then you can't find your car keys, it goes higher. Then the smallest thing, like the light changes from amber to red just before you get there, it's fuck, and it's like, now the bucket overflows, so it's instead of standing on that plug and like, right, okay, I've let go, it's gone, and then bring it back down. But like, that's what you're on about there, it's like little things annoy you, and then you'll have this real big outburst, maybe when you get to where, and you think, 2 minutes after you think, oh fuck, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. And because it's all come from these little build-ups that you've not let go of and you're still holding on to and getting really aggressive and really annoyed at. You know, but
it's the straw that broke the camel's back, right?
But we can't see that, or because it's within the mind. And there's that old saying of, you know, if I give you a hot coal in your hand, what would be the first thing you'd do? You'd leave go of it. Yeah. You know, so if a thought's hurting you and bringing you pain, why are you still walking around with it like, oh, Chris, you do my head in you, so I'm going to walk around all day. And like that's just painful, you know. So like, all right, Chris is me, and so let go. Yeah, gone. And it's like, if people can visually see that, which is what I'm learning and what I've learned. If you can visually see that, you'd let go of it straight away.
Well, they say anger is holding onto a hot coal in the hopes of throwing it at somebody else.
Exactly, yeah. So you're just walking around trying to look for someone else to let it out on.
Unload your anger.
Yeah, and then after that becomes regret and everything else.
Yeah. One of the things that I wanted to move on to was talking about the platform that you've got and that other people have online and what they're using that for. So, I mean, if you were to try and... how would you define the message that you want to try and get across to people?
The message trying to get across to people, like, there's a lot of opportunities out there to keep learning and progressing. Whatever field you're working in, whatever area you're wanting to improve, there's a lot of stuff out there, and that I'm still learning that, and that's why I'm still progressing into that. I'm just trying to give off not this luxury life that, don't get me wrong, a lot of people like it, is good to have, but you've got to try, and the journey I'm on is trying to find happiness from within, and I'm putting that back to people. What I'm learning, I'm wanting to put back to people. So yeah, it's a big journey, but that's one of the main reasons that I want to use my social or my platform from. I do get it, I do understand. There's a lot of big people out there that you do have to use it for some type of income, some work. You've got to do sponsored posts. I do get that, and there will be times where I may have to do that. But the main reasons is obviously I want to push out there that there is also faults. There's not always, it's not always luxuries.
What does happiness mean to you then?
Happiness means to me helping others progress within the life and finding more about themselves, I'd like to say. So I'm still learning that about myself. So I can't, if my loved ones are happy around me, people who I love are comfortable, happy, and pain free. I think that is my overall aim. It's amazing to have all these luxuries and attachments that go with it, but I think that comes because of society and what people are pushing on you. And he's got the latest trainers, so I've got but would you really get them if it wasn't a trend, if it wasn't a fashion, etc.? It's finding something else that makes you happy and not something that's an attachment.
Yeah. I mean, the hedonic treadmill, there's a really interesting study that Yusuf cites all the time, where he talks about people who become disabled and lose the use of their legs, and people who win the lottery and have like essentially an unlimited amount of money. Their self-rated happiness after 6 months is the same. So they have this particular baseline of happiness at month 0, then this incident occurs and they split off, and then by the time that you get back to 6 months, both of them have adapted.
Right.
So I think people that presume that material goods will bring them happiness are chasing down an endless treadmill that's not really actually got anything at the end of it.
Exactly. I recently learned that one of my courses on my meditation, that attachments will eventually cause suffering and pain. If you're relying on attachment for your happiness, I want the next big car. Okay, I've got that car. Oh, now I want another car. So you're, like you're saying, now you're forever chasing something for your happiness that's only giving you temporary happiness. And again, this is something I'm learning and wanting to progress in terms of trying to find happiness from within. So I'm just happy just sat here with you chatting, and like all I do, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I don't like a nice car, I don't like nice clothes, because that's the industry that I'm in, and that's the industry that sometimes I feel like I've got to be in to still have the connection, to be able to still speak and pass the message. You still got to come across cool and not crazy.
If you were given the choice, would you just be in a pair of elephant pants and barefoot?
Yeah, I really would. If that was acceptable, but again, that's me. How can I say it? If that was acceptable in terms of, because if I just done that now, people would go, Leon's lost the plot. Literally, and no one would listen to me and what I'm trying to pass out and what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of celebrities that's done it where people think, oh, he's gone crazy. But when you look like
Jim Carrey,
there you go, perfect example. That's always what I was going to say, Keanu Reeves. But
Keanu Reeves is just as mental.
So these type of people where people go, oh, they just lost the plot. And then actually, if you look into what they're trying to say and what they're trying to deliver,
he's fucking enlightened.
Yeah, they've not lost the plot. But a lot of these people are like, oh, he's gone crazy. They've not. But that's what I'm saying. If me and you all of a sudden just
barefoot elephant pants and a string vest,
two lads have gone fucking daft.
Yeah.
You know,
so I think you've touched on something that's really interesting there, which is that an easy criticism of what you've put across and what I put across as well is, yeah, like, good one, mate. You talk about all of this mindfulness bollocks, but like, you know, you still drive around in a nice car and you still like wear nice clothes and you know, you still upload topless photos and stuff. You're not uploading a nice photo of a piece of tree bark or something like that. And I think the point that is the dual-edged sword of this is that you still need to play the game. Yeah. We have to play the game. And as you've said, there's particular
it's that
rules.
Play the role that you're given type thing. And, you know, you need to, you can't just jump from one thing to another when people aren't ready.
Well, yeah. I mean, you need to capitalize on the effective strategies within the particular platform that you're trying to do. Like, it's all well and good, you being a fantastic footballer, but if you turn up to practice with a tennis racket, it doesn't matter. You're no longer playing the game.
Yeah.
And Instagram has, the social media platform in general, it has a set of rules. But I think that one thing that is very positive is the fact that you're able to try and put across an image which is still within that, but on the other side, a message which is maybe trying to progress people's minds a little bit more. You know, in 10 years' time, if you go full Jim Carrey and you've got a beard and you've got the string
then you know why.
Exactly.
It's been a journey.
It's just a fucking long game. I just needed to bring you with me.
Yeah, exactly. It hasn't just been like, boom. You know, it's like a progression thing where you can see maybe, he's getting more crazy and crazy.
More and more ridiculous. You know, I'll go with him. I'll see what he does.
And that is why that's perfect with what you're saying. You've got to play the game until, you know, you've got to slowly give people what I'm learning, which are obviously the people who I'm learning off. That's what I'm feeling off them. Because if I just turned up with a Buddhist monk one day, my mates would be like, "Are you taking the piss?" You know, because at the end of the day, I'm still a lad. I'm still like, I still have a laugh. I still piss about. I still have a drink. I still do all the lad things. But in my spare time, I'm still wanting to learn about myself. You know, with inside myself.
Yeah, I think it's something that I often get conflicted about, which is that there's certain elements of the game that needs to be played with, whether it be to do with club promo or, you know, for me, particularly one of them is the fact that I need to use my phone and I need to continue to use the Instagram platform and my other socials to grow my exposure, which enables me to put things that I genuinely value, like this podcast and other projects that I've got coming up across. Having to do that whilst not actually believing in the platform itself, like, you know, if I was able to do it in another way, like if I was able to grow my exposure through meditation hours, meet me on the cushion. Do you know what I mean? So, but it's difficult. Do you ever get conflicted with that, with having to do the Instagram thing whilst you know?
Well, like you just touched upon that. I'd love to, you know, go to a meditation class and you know, video or take pictures of the meditation, which I do.
That be the content.
Yeah, which is what the way I try to break it up is my stories for that, and my main pages are for more of a message, more of a, you know, like my projects in terms of like my books, my 6 weeks that I've just put on. That's what I'm wanting to do to help people. So everything that I'm learning, I'm wanting to help in that way. So I still need to. I need to, you know, practice what I preach type thing. There's no point me saying, oh, lean 365 and me being fat 365, you know, these type of things.
That's what 365.
Yeah, exactly. So I need to, that's the message I'm trying to put across on my page. But with that, with me working with my physique, I'm also trying to show within the captions the mind type of things, because I can't exactly show my mind on a picture, but I try to show what my mind's saying or what my mind's learned. But the image of the picture is the physique, what people want to see, or what they want to, what I assume they want to see. Maybe they want to see different. You know?
Maybe Dad Bod's coming back.
Yeah, maybe. We'll do Balkan season.
If we come back in 12 months' time and Dad
we'll
Bod's
do a Dad Bod on the set.
Fine, that would be great.
Summer Dad Bod, yeah.
Loll around.
Or we could just a few burgers there.
Yeah. I mean, that would be great. I hate having to be in a fucking deficit. But yeah, like I think you're right. And for people out there who are maybe thinking that it's quite easy to see the lifestyles and stuff that get put across on Instagram and take them at face value. But we've got somebody here, two people sat on the same couch who are both saying that the images that we put across are us playing the game.
Mm-hmm.
And still something that we're proud about. You know, there's photo shoots that I'm sure that you love, and there's ones that I love as well. And, you know, I think, fuck, I really, really like that photo of me. I think that photo's awesome. But it's not me. That's not the essence of who I am. And I don't think it's necessarily the essence of who you are either. It's like, look, like, if there is someone that you really, really idolize, think about the message that they're putting across and be maybe a little bit more critical about how high of a pedestal should I put this person on? Like, is it just the fact that they're good looking, or have they actually got values that I care about? Have they actually got a level of integrity that I would want for myself? And an easy litmus test, the canary in the coal mine for this is, do you genuinely think that person's happy? Like, because for the most, like, I know, you know, both you and me will know shitloads of people that work a lot on Instagram and have a big following and this, that and the other, and they're fucking miserable.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying, and that's why I preach you, put the meditation, put the learning, put the reading, put it into practice, because there has been times, and there still is times, when I'm unhappy. I still got thoughts and feelings where I'm sad and I'm upset, and, you know, but these thoughts, these feelings, these moments have become easier for me, become less of a problem for me. You know, I still get them, and I will always get them until I get further. Maybe they might go, maybe they won't. But, you know, as people who are constantly still going on about, maybe not going on, but still having these problems and still suffering these thoughts and feelings, but they're doing nothing about it.
Yeah.
So which is
even doubling down on covering them up.
Yeah, or trying to hide them, trying to run for them, trying to pretend that they're happy with the latest car, the latest clothing. Like, yes, that does make you happy. It makes me happy. It would make you happy if you went and bought like a brand new pair of trainers. It does us all, but maybe for a short space of time. There's nothing wrong with still doing that, but also working on yourself from within, you know. But is it like the message I try to put across, if you try to combine them both, well, even all three, you know, your lifestyle you live, your mindfulness from within, and the look on the outside in terms of your fitness, whatever that, if you can combine all them three, then you will start to find some middle ground of happiness. And that's something that I'm searching for and still looking at every day.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. So before we finish up, are there any resources or books that you would recommend to people? Any websites or blogs that you often visit?
There's an app, obviously the Calm app that we spoke about. I've got there's a reading app that I always use called Medium. Have you ever heard of that?
Medium's fantastic.
Yeah. So again, any topic that you're interested in, just download the app Medium, search the topic, brings anything up, and just have a read on it, you know. And they're only like 5 minutes, 15 minutes, little articles that you can read and find some really useful information. There's Calm. You get a 7 days trial, so you can do it 7 days. If you don't feel anything from it, you don't. If you do, you can get the app for a bit longer. Motivation Manifesto is one of the best books I read. Maybe try and find one of your local Buddhist centres. Give it a go, see how you feel. Again, it's putting these things into practice. Like, I'll be the first to say I wasn't the best reader at school, and I'm still not now, you know, like, which is why I'll only read for 15, 20 minutes, max half an hour. I'm not one of these who can sit and read for 2-3 hours.
Crack a book out in a day,
yeah. My head just goes all over, and I'm thinking of this, thinking of that. But it's getting better, you know, and a lot of my mates and even my family are like, what, you read now? Like, it was probably the last thing I'd ever think of, you know, when I was back at school, even in college when I played football for Middlesbrough, because I just didn't get it. But now I get it. I get what they're doing. They're working on. It doesn't even have to be working. It might be just a really nice story that you've like.
Good fiction.
You're just getting lost. Like, it's just sometimes in a book you just like, you know, it's like wow. You just get lost of what's actually out there, you know, and disengage from everything else. And it's relaxing and it's peaceful. So yeah, the reading is Highly Performance Habits, is it? Brendan Butcher's. Yeah. High Performance Habits, that's the one. Yeah. That's a really good book in terms of business and applying maybe what goals you've got, maybe what ambitions you've got, and getting the best out of yourself, getting the best out of your team, what's around you, the resources. So that book was good for that. So yeah, that's a few things that I would.
I'm a massive fan of Medium. We spoke about it on a previous Life Hacks episode. but it's just like the best curated news site that you've ever heard of. So imagine the top filtering of every blog on the planet. And it's submitted. The app's beautiful. It remembers your place. You can, you get suggestions sent to you. It's like if Facebook was meant for learning shit.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, oh, you recently read something about, cryptocurrency. So here's something else that kind of is associated with that, and it learns over time. I absolutely love it. I'm a massive, massive fan.
Yeah.
So Leon, where can the listeners find you online?
You can find me on my Instagram, Leon Free Scott, or you can find me on my website. It's just leon-scott.com.
Fantastic.
And if there's anything you want to ask me, just drop it in my comments on the latest picture, or DM me. If there's anything I can help with, I'll find the time and I'll get back to you.
Man, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me, man. Thank you.
Thank
Till
you.
next time.
Catch you later on.
Brilliant.